Okay, doing a little work on my guitar. Over the last couple of weeks, I've kind of gone back and done some research. When I first got this guitar about 15 years ago, I did a little bit of research on it. It's got a funky bridge, and that helped me kind of date it. And I figured, it must be an early 80s. I figured 1983 Japanese Squire, which is kind of neat. The Japanese Squires were pretty cool. But a couple of weeks ago, I dug a little bit deeper, and there's a couple of things that kind of told me that perhaps I was a little bit wrong about my assumption that it was a Squire. First of all, the Squires were not available with the micro tilt. And that was it was obviously original. And so I started doing a little bit more research and discovered I'd never realized this. I used to sell Fenders and worked with guitars for a living for a little while, and never realized that when Fender was purchased by CBS, the Fullerton plant didn't go with the sale, and for a couple of years, while CBS was building the factory that's in Corona now, there weren't really American-made guitars, or at least not very many, from what I understand. I'm not exactly sure on all the details. And for a little while, the nicer Fenders that you could get were called contemporary guitars, and they came from Japan, from a factory in Japan. And that's actually what this is, which is pretty slick. So the kind of the thing that tipped me off was were these bridges. And for a long time, I thought these were Kahler bridges. They're actually a Schaller design. I don't know if Schaller made them or licensed the design to Japan. I don't honestly remember. But what's unique about it is that, and I discovered this kind of quickly, because I had an old one of these that was missing some parts and not working correctly. Not quite this many parts. It was more functional than this, but I wanted to replace it with something else, and I couldn't because the pole spacing is really unique. And so I was able to find some folks that had another bridge online and on eBay, and I picked it up, and I've been playing it for 15 years, played it out, did shows with it, did some recording with it, but it's always been missing some parts. It's missing the micro tilt, the electronics that I soldered, that I wired up. I had it wired up a couple of different ways. These are DiMarzio HS2s. So for a little while, I had them wired as humbuckers, a couple of push-pull. All three of these were push-pull pots, so I could coil tap each one of them, and it had 50 different combinations of sounds, and I used about 3 of them. So I rewired it to where I'm not using the bottom coils. I'm only using the top coils. They're wired as single coils. It's a straight Strat setup. The one thing that's a little bit different, a lot of times on a Strat, they'll put the tone pot on the bridge and on the neck. I actually really like having the tone control on the bridge or on the middle pickup. So I actually have the tone control on the bridge, on the middle, and then there's no tone control on the neck. It's kind of a little bit of a different way to do it. Actually, I take that back. I've got a crossover wire on the neck pickup, so I do have tone control on the neck. It's on the same knob as the middle. I think, if I remember, that's how I wired it up. So anyway, getting ready to put it back together. Finally got a micro tilt. This is actually useful information. Let's see here. Which one? So micro tilt is an interesting beast because Fender has put it on several guitars, and they've been kind of fishing around, playing around with different size micro tilt bolts. And when this guitar came to me, it did not have its micro tilt bolt, and so it's a set screw. It didn't have its micro tilt set screw, and so I replaced it. Finally, I actually took the time to look up to play around with the bolt. Found one that fit. I had a tap that fit actually, and then I ordered a set screw to replace it. And now I'm drawing a blank on what it is, and somewhere around here. There we go. Okay, so it's a micro tilt neck. The micro tilt. If you do lose these Japanese contemporary Strats, American guitars like the 70s micro tilt and the American guitars that come with them now, they've had a quarter 20 bolts, which are incredibly common, from everything from camera mounts to micro tilt apparently. I believe the 70s 3-bolt necks that had micro tilt were quarter 28, but these are neither. These are M6-1, which I happen to have a tap that fit that. That's how I knew that that's what that was. And yeah, I got these, and it just threaded right in there. So I got my micro tilt back. You may be wondering what the toothpaste is for. I'm cleaning up these rollers, and I've got a separate. I said I'm going to do a separate video on those. So anyway, yeah, quick tour of a obviously highly modified. I think the only thing that's really original on it anymore is the body and the pickguard, and I think this jack plate, maybe the jack, but obviously the pickups and pots. 5-way. I just put this in tonight. Replaced my 5-way tonight. So not a lot of original, but still kind of cool. It's obviously a different guitar. So yep.